30 days wired to a glucose sensor.
You wake up. You do everything right. You pour instant oatmeal into a bowl. You add low-fat milk. You blend a green smoothie with spinach, banana, and a scoop of gut-friendly yogurt. You snack on rice cakes because they're air and almost 0 calories. And then, by 11 a.m., you're exhausted. Your brain feels foggy. You're hungry again, even though you just ate. Your doctor tells you your fasting glucose is fine. Your HbA1c is normal. You're not diabetic. Don't worry. But inside your blood vessels, something else is happening. Silent, mechanical damage. Microscopic injuries to the arteries of your eyes, kidneys, nerves, and heart. At Diasync, science, not rumor, we stopped trusting food marketing and lab averages.
So we did what most people will never do. For 30 consecutive days, we wired one person over 40 to a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, and turned their life into data. No theories, no rumors, minute-by-minute tracking of their true metabolic reality. And what we found is brutal. Many healthy foods recommended to people over 40, instant oatmeal, green smoothies, brown toast, rice cakes, even some whole grain snacks, were driving violent spikes in blood sugar, massive insulin surges, and molecular damage linked to diabetes type 2, prediabetes, and metabolic aging. This video is the full story of that 30-day experiment. If you're over 40, have prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or just can't understand why you're tired and gaining belly fat, this isn't another tips video. This is a case file from the Diasync investigation team. Before we open the logbook, do one thing. Hit subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone you care about. Because the next 30 minutes may explain the last 10 years of your health. Welcome to Diasync. Science, not rumor. Let's open day 1.
Chapter 1. Subject D40. The start of the experiment. In Diasync's internal notation, we call him Subject D40, a 47-year-old office worker, slightly overweight, a bit tired lately, but with normal routine lab tests. Fasting glucose, 92 milligrams per deciliter. HbA1c, 5.5%. LDL mildly elevated. Blood pressure borderline high. His doctor's verdict? You're fine. Just eat healthy. More whole grains, less fat. Diasync's perspective? Those numbers are the calm surface of a very turbulent sea. So, on day 1, Subject D40 came to the Diasync lab. We installed a medical-grade continuous glucose monitor on his upper arm, a small sensor reading his glucose every 5 minutes, 24/7 for 30 days. We asked him not to diet. We asked him to eat the way any cautious, health-conscious person over 40 would eat if they followed mainstream advice. We wanted to see what healthy really looks like, from inside the bloodstream.
Chapter 2, Day 2. The Oatmeal Shock. On the morning of Day 2, Subject D40 prepared what millions are told is the perfect heart-healthy breakfast. 1 bowl of instant oatmeal, made with low-fat milk, a handful of strawberries on top, no sugar added. Marketing language? High fiber, heart healthy, helps lower cholesterol. Diasync looked not at the box, but at the CGM graph. Baseline the moment he sat down, 86 milligrams per deciliter. 45 minutes after finishing the bowl, 178 milligrams per deciliter. A near diabetic post-meal spike. From a heart-healthy bowl of oats? What happened? Instant oatmeal is not the whole oat grain nature designed. In modern processing plants, oats are steamed, rolled, flattened, and cut into thin, fast-cooking flakes. That instant convenience destroys a key defense system, the intact fiber matrix. When Subject D40 swallowed that soft, pre-processed porridge, his salivary and pancreatic amylase enzymes had easy access. Starches broke down into glucose at high speed.
Glucose poured into the bloodstream like a sudden flood. His pancreas reacted with a high-volume insulin spike to pull all that sugar out of the blood and into cells. 90 minutes after the meal, his CGM showed something even more dangerous: reactive hypoglycemia. His glucose fell below 70. He felt shaky, hungry, and tired at 10:30 in the morning. This is how a healthy breakfast sets up: a sugar spike, then a sugar crash, then a craving for more carbs.
From DiaSync's investigator lens, this is not heart healthy. This is glycemic volatility, extreme up and down swings that accelerate metabolic wear and tear. In research on glycemic variability, these swings are strongly associated with oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction, damage to vessel lining, increased risk of diabetic complications. Day 2 was our first alarm. Subject D40's healthy choices were generating diabetic-style curves in a non-diabetic lab file.
Chapter 3. The hidden danger of normal labs. Why is this so dangerous for people over 40? Because routine medicine often looks at two static numbers: fasting glucose and HbA1c, the 3-month average. A 3-month average hides violence. Two people can have the same HbA1c, say 5.4%, with completely different daily lives. Person A, glucose gently moves between 80 and 110. Person B, glucose spikes to 180 after meals, then crashes below 70. The average looks similar. The cellular fate does not. Research on glycemic variability shows that the damage comes from fluctuations, not only from high averages. Every time glucose surges, tiny sugar molecules stick to proteins in a process called non-enzymatic glycation. Over time, this creates advanced glycation end products, AGEs, molecules strongly linked to diabetic eye disease, kidney damage, neuropathy, vascular stiffening, skin aging. On paper, subject D40 looked fine. On the CGM screen, he was living in a landscape of repeated spikes. DiaSync noted, averages are lying. Variability is screaming.
Chapter 4, Week 1, The Green Smoothie Trap. Having failed the oatmeal test without knowing it, subject D40 did what health blogs recommend next: green smoothies. On day 6, his breakfast looked like this: 1 cup spinach, half a banana, several chunks of pineapple, water and a bit of yogurt, blended into a bright, thick green drink. No sugar added. Social media calls it detox in a glass. CGM response. Starting point: 88 milligrams per deciliter. Peak within 50 minutes, 165 milligrams per deciliter. Another sharp spike. But here's what shocked the DiaSync team even more. The CGM only shows glucose. Smoothies also deliver large amounts of fructose, the fruit sugar that does not appear on a standard CGM. Glucose can be used by many tissues. Fructose must be processed almost entirely by the liver.
When fruit is eaten whole, fiber slows digestion. Sugar is released gradually. The liver handles manageable amounts. When fruit is turned into a liquid, the fiber matrix is mechanically destroyed. Sugar is absorbed rapidly. The liver is hit with a sudden load of fructose. Research on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and fructose metabolism shows that this overload pushes the liver to turn surplus fructose into fat via de novo lipogenesis. Over time, this contributes to fatty liver, worsening insulin resistance, higher risk of type 2 diabetes. DiaSync wrote in the log for day 6, green smoothie behaves like a metabolic Trojan horse, disguised as health, delivering a fast sugar load to the bloodstream and liver. Lesson for anyone over 40.
Drinking your fruit is a different biological event than chewing your fruit. The marketing is similar, the metabolic reality is not.
Chapter 5. Week 2. Rice Cakes and the Calorie Lie. By day 10, subject D40 was aware he should watch calories. Like millions, he reached for a classic low-calorie snack: rice cakes. 2 plain rice cakes. No cheese, no peanut butter, no toppings. Light. Almost air. Perfect for weight loss. CGM said otherwise. Baseline, 90 milligrams per deciliter. Within 40 minutes, 155 milligrams per deciliter. Almost the same spike pattern as white bread. How? Rice cakes are born in industrial machines that expose rice grains to high heat and pressure. The grains expand, puff, and form airy discs. In this process, starch becomes highly gelatinized and rapidly digestible.
Glycemic index data in metabolic studies show that rice cakes have a very high GI, often above or near 90. Pure sugar is around 100. So while the calories are low, the speed of sugar delivery is extremely high. The body does not care only about calories. It cares about rate of entry. Fast in, big spike, big insulin response. Slow in, gentle rise, moderate insulin. Repeated insulin surges over months and years lead to insulin resistance, a core feature of metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Diasync summarized week 2 like this: low calorie does not mean low damage. The metabolic cost of rice cakes is paid in insulin, not only in calories. For people over 40 trying to eat light, this is critical. Your snack can be almost weightless and still push you deeper into insulin resistance.
Chapter 6. The Brown Bread Illusion. By week 2, subject D40 started replacing white bread with brown toast, believing in the whole grain promise. Breakfast on day 13, 2 slices of whole grain brown toast, low-fat spread, black coffee. Expectation: slow release carbs, better for glucose control. Reality on CGM: baseline 92 milligrams per deciliter, peak around 160 milligrams per deciliter, nearly the same profile as refined bread. Here's the subtle trap. Whole grain on a label often means some portion of the grain is included, but almost always milled into fine flour. The flour, regardless of color, is rapidly available to enzymes.
Chapter 7. Day 18. When stress raises blood sugar without food. The most surprising part of the 30-day log happened on day 18. Subject D40 had a stressful morning, a tense meeting, tight deadlines, and worry about money. He ate a relatively safe meal: grilled chicken, mixed salad, a small portion of quinoa. Yet CGM showed pre-meeting 94 milligrams per deciliter, peak during stress 140 plus milligrams per deciliter, even though no high glycemic food was consumed. Metabolically, this is predictable. Under psychological stress, the body releases cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol signals the liver to break down stored glycogen. Glucose is pushed into the blood to prepare for fight or flight. This is called stress-induced hyperglycemia. For someone over 40 with already fragile insulin sensitivity, this matters a lot. Stress alone can cause spikes. Spikes plus high glycemic food are even worse. The illusion of "I didn't eat anything bad today" hides the combined effect. Diasync logged: diet cannot fully protect a chronically stressed body. Managing metabolic health after 40 requires managing stress biology, not only food selection. For the Diasync audience, this is a core principle. Metabolic health is a system where food, stress, sleep, and movement are intertwined. Chapter 8. Molecular Damage, Ages, and Internal Rust. Through these days of spikes, One question kept returning inside the Diasync team. What exactly is being damaged during each spike? Science gives a precise answer. Advanced glycation end products, AGEs. Here's how they form. 1. Blood sugar rises. 2. Glucose molecules attach to proteins, lipids, and even DNA. 3. These attachments are random, non-enzymatic, and disruptive. 4. Over time, unstable structures rearrange into AGEs. AGEs interact with specific receptors called RAGE on cell surfaces, especially in blood vessels. This triggers inflammatory cascades and oxidative stress. The consequences documented in research. 1. Endothelial dysfunction. Vessel linings lose flexibility. 2. Microvascular damage in kidneys and retina. 3. Accelerated stiffening of arteries. 4. Structural damage to collagen in the skin, visible aging.
In the Diasync log, we described AGEs as internal rust that forms faster every time glucose spikes sharply. During the 30 days, subject D40's CGM curves showed around 4 to 6 significant spikes per day during conventional healthy eating. Each spike was an opportunity for glycation. Each opportunity, a microscopic push towards diabetic complications. Here is the crucial point for someone over 40 with borderline labs. You do not feel AGEs. You do not feel endothelial dysfunction. You feel, I'm tired, I'm foggy, my feet sometimes tingle. By the time symptoms are intense, the rust has already covered many systems. Diasync's mission is simple. Help you flatten those curves before the rust becomes visible disease.
Chapter 9. The Diasync Protocol. Flattening the curve without extreme restriction. In the last 10 days of the experiment, Diasync stopped being a passive observer. We introduced the Diasync Protocol for subject D40, a 3-pillar system tested live under CGM supervision. 1. Food sequencing, the order in which you eat. 2. The vinegar intervention, using acetic acid intelligently. 3. Post-meal muscle activation, turning muscles into glucose sinks. The goal was not to remove all carbohydrates. The goal was to change the way the body meets carbohydrates. 9.1. Food sequencing. Fiber first, protein next, carbs last. On day 22, we took a previously bad meal and changed only its order. Original version: bread first, chicken second, salad last. New Diasync version: large mixed salad first, chicken and healthy fats second, carbohydrate portion, for example, a small serving of rice or bread, last. Effect on CGM. Previous peak after this style of meal around 160 milligrams per deciliter. After sequencing, peak reduced to around 115 to 120 milligrams per deciliter. Why? When fiber from vegetables enters the stomach and small intestine first, it forms a viscous layer along the gut wall. This layer slows down carbohydrate digestion and absorption, reduces the speed of glucose entry, blunts the peak height. Scientific studies on food order and postprandial glucose support this strategy. Eating vegetables before carbs significantly reduces glucose spikes and insulin needs. The protocol rule: if you are over 40, let fiber arrive before starch. Every meal becomes less aggressive. 9.2. The vinegar intervention: acetic acid and starch digestion. On day 24, subject D40 drank 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, diluted in a glass of water, about 10 to 15 minutes before a meal containing starch. Same meal as before, same amount of carbohydrate, different chemistry in the stomach. Effect on CGM: peak reduced by an additional 10 to 20 milligrams per deciliter compared to no vinegar. Curve shape became smoother, with a slower rise and fall. Mechanisms reported in research: acetic acid can slow gastric emptying. It can reduce the activity of enzymes breaking down starch. It can increase muscle uptake of glucose and improve insulin sensitivity.
Diasync does not treat vinegar as magic. We treat it as a simple, low-cost lever in the metabolic system. The protocol rule: if starch is coming, send a small dose of acetic acid ahead of it. 9.3. Post-meal muscle activation. Walking as glucose management. On day 26, we add in one more step. Immediately after finishing a meal, subject D40 walked at a moderate pace for 10 to 15 minutes. No intense workout, no gym, just movement. Effect on CGM. Post-meal peaks dropped by roughly 30 to 40%. The tail of the curve shortened, meaning quicker return to baseline. Why this works. Muscle cells contain GLUT4 transporters that can move glucose without insulin when muscles contract. Walking after meals opens more GLUT4 channels, allows glucose to be pulled from blood into working muscles, reduces the burden on the pancreas to release insulin. The protocol rule: treat your muscles as metabolic tools, not decorative tissue. After eating, let them work. After combining all three pillars for several days, the violent spikes seen in weeks 1 and 2 became gentle hills. Subject D40 reported fewer crashes, more stable energy, and less brain fog. Insulin demand, estimated from curve shape, visibly decreased. Diasync's conclusion: for most people over 40, the question is not carbs or no carbs. The practical question is, in what order, with what chemistry, with how much movement?
Chapter 10. What happens if we ignore this? Diasync is not in the business of fear-mongering. We are in the business of forecasting. So we asked a simple question. If subject D40 continues 10 more years with the same spikes he had in week 1, what does science suggest will happen? Based on current research, chronically elevated and volatile glucose leads to progressive insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, in turn, raises risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain cancers, cognitive decline, and possibly dementia. AGEs accumulate, accelerating damage to eyes, retinopathy, kidneys, nephropathy, peripheral nerves, neuropathy. He may never become the worst case of diabetes, but he will carry a higher probability of fatty liver, ever-rising belly fat, medication stacking, and reduced quality of life in his 50s, 60s, and beyond. What if instead he continues with the Diasync protocol? He doesn't become perfect, but spikes are flattened. Insulin demand is lower. AGE formation is reduced. His risk curve bends in a different direction. Our message is not, you must be perfect. Our message is, every spike avoided is a piece of future damage removed. Every gentle curve is a step toward metabolic resilience.
Your metabolic investigation partner after 40. This 30-day CGM experiment taught the Diasync team something crystal clear. Most people over 40 are not harmed by sugar once a year at a birthday party. They are harmed by sugar disguised as health every single morning. Instant oatmeal, green smoothies, rice cakes, brown toast, stress without movement. The combination quietly engineers glycemic variability, insulin resistance, internal rust through ages, and the slow erosion of long-term health. Diasync exists for one reason: to be the reference point for people over 40 who are tired of rumors, trends, and ambiguous advice and want metabolic truth. We are not a fad diet. We are not a miracle pill. We are an investigative team working on type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, metabolic health after 40, and real-world experiments like this 30-day CGM case.
If this story made you look differently at your breakfast, your snacks, and your healthy habits, then here's what we ask. 1. Subscribe to Diasync on YouTube. This tells the algorithm that science-based, long-form, investigative health content matters. 2. Like this video if you want us to continue running more experiments, 60-day dawn phenomenon investigations, fast food CGM series,
supermarket survival guides for diabetics and pre-diabetics. 3. Share this video with someone over 40 who still believes normal labs mean everything is fine. They deserve to see what their lab results don't show. And finally, tell us in the comments, which healthy food surprised you the most in this story? And what do you want Diasync to test next with CGM? We read every comment. We build our next investigations based on what you ask us to uncover. This is Diasync. Science, not rumor. Stay curious, stay critical. And remember, the way you eat today is writing the health story you will live 10 years from now. Diasync will be here to help you rewrite it.